Welcome back. All right, so power rankings. I've gone through all 32 teams and I have rated who I believe, on average, has the best jerseys in the National Hockey League. So not necessarily home and away, not necessarily right now either, but just on average, who I think has the best jerseys. I'm wearing a San Diego Gulls jersey. I don't think I've ever worn this in a video. I've had this jersey for quite some time. So that being said, we'll start off with Utah. So the tricky part is I want to show jerseys for this video, but Utah I don't have them yet, and Utah they're placeholders. So Utah has to be 32nd. This is where I have to tell Coyotes fans they're not on the list, and it is weird. But I wanted to restrict this to teams that are currently in the National Hockey League. I may do a ranking of like Minnesota, Hartford, Arizona, others that I have a lot of jerseys of, and Quebec too. But Utah is 32nd just because they kind of have to be. And then this is where the pausing starts, so I can grab a jersey for each entry after this. And of course, I don't have a Utah jersey. I don't know of anybody that does who's not currently playing for Utah. So at number 31 is Columbus. Columbus just they haven't really like I like the Cannon jersey a lot, but outside of the Cannon third jersey, which I know some people don't even like the Cannon third jersey, for me with Columbus, a lot of their jerseys are okay. They're all right. Like their current home and away, they're okay. But to me, Columbus ends up ranking 31st overall. So we'll go ahead and throw their logo on the board, and I'll go grab a jersey from team number 30. And I'm going to grab one jersey per team to try to keep this under an hour. So in 30th and on the next row on this board is Nashville. A lot of marigold, a lot of yellow with Nashville jerseys. I've been over this. I do prefer blue over the color they currently have as their primary. At the very least, more blue on their current jersey would help. But while I love the Meth Tiger, who doesn't love the Meth Tiger? Oh, there's a bunch of hands going up. But I do love that jersey, but it doesn't bring them up beyond where they're at, which is, again, for me personally, 30th on the list. Number 29, the Islanders. The Islanders, it's like they've had some jerseys I don't mind. Like I don't mind the Fishermen, to be honest. Some of their third jerseys have been misses. This is the jersey they had around, I want to say 2010 or 2011. So this is before they went back to the colors they had back in the 80s. The jerseys they wear now are very, very similar to what they wore in the 80s. The Fishermen ended up being a bit of a mistake. They fixed that mistake rather quickly. The wavy design at the bottom of the jerseys they fixed too when they went to this. But again, for me on this countdown, it's just, again, to me, it's just kind of plain. It's kind of there. And so they end up at 29th on the list. But the Fisherman does keep them from being lower than that. And I will say this, on the first round of reverse retros, I thought they made a nice third jersey. It's not a reverse retro, but it's a decent third jersey. So we're up to 28, and this is the current away jersey for the Carolina Hurricanes, which I've picked because I'm not a huge fan of word marks in general, unless it's the Rangers. Rangers, fine. Word marks, not a problem. Not a huge fan of word marks. The funny thing is, I really like the black home jersey that they use right now. I seem to be in the minority on that. Every time I see a ranking of where people put the jerseys for teams, that black jersey, people don't generally seem to like it as much as I do with the double flag and all that. But yeah, the Canes get weighed down for having some kind of plain jerseys. And they also get weighed down because I didn't include Hartford in this ranking. Now, if I include Hartford in this ranking, it might be in the top 10. But as is, they're number 28. Number 27 is Ottawa. That's the first Canadian team, right? Yep, Ottawa. Now, Ottawa has some really nice jerseys. I love this jersey. I know, again, I can throw this in here. There's some detractors with this one, too. But their home and away, like the current home and away, which matches the home and away they had before, yeah. The home and away they had prior to that, with the Centurion looking straight on, the striping's kind of weird on that, and then you got the Scooby Doo eyes. So of course the logo I'm using for their ranking is the Scooby Doo eyes, which goes right there for number 27. And there some people don't like the O logo either. Just as an aside as well, Belleville jerseys are really really nice, and they're done in this same style as the Ottawa jerseys. So if you're looking for jerseys like this and you can't find them, Belleville's website would be my recommendation. The Belleville Senators. I've ordered through them a few times. Not too shabby. But yeah, number 27 for Ottawa. I will say this for Philadelphia, they never changed their brand. They never changed the logo. On this stadium jersey, they made it all black. That's about as close as you get to them changing it. Other than one third jersey way back in the day, and I have that one too, where they did change the logo out a bit, made it look kind of metallic. Outside of that, they've never touched it. A lot of orange. Not a lot of jerseys for Philadelphia that really stand out to me. I know this was one that I debated about whether or not to get it at the time, and I was like, I'll get it. I'll get the Pittsburgh one too. But yeah, Philadelphia, they have some fun ones. They're still at 26, just nothing that really jumps out at me in general. Finishing out this row, number 25, Seattle. Now, Seattle I went back and forth on because I really like the home, the away, and this Winter Classic is really, really nice. And when they did the reverse retro, I thought that was okay too. Um, but again, when I was looking at it, I was like, well, I don't have as much as I have for some of these other teams. I decided to keep them down to 25. I will say this, when the day comes that there's a third that has their secondary logo on the front, these guys are going to end up in the top 10. So this is probably as low as they're going to get. And I debated about whether or not to have Vegas lower too. But all honesty here, both reverse retros from Vegas I thought were fantastic. Again, reverse retro one a lot of people didn't like. But Seattle, there's a lot of potential. This jersey shows how much potential I think that there is. This was really, really well done. And again, looking forward to a new third with the secondary logo on the front. Maybe in this color, as a for instance. So we'll see what they do. But Seattle, number 25, not bad for a team that's only got 4 different jerseys. We move up to the next row, and we're at the Washington Capitals. Capitals have had some really nice ones, this one included. They've also had a stadium jersey that said Caps. They did take that template then, and they took the caps off the front, and they put the W on the front, which is their current third jersey, which isn't bad. It's definitely better than Caps. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of their current home and aways. Even the ones from the 80s, there's like a nostalgic feel when you see those on the ice here and there when they wear them, but they're not fantastic. So, yeah, with Washington, that's where I'm at with Washington. Number 23 is Edmonton. Picking the gear jersey here. This is a jersey that at the time it came out, I didn't really like it very much. I thought it was very much like the LA Kings Gretzky era jerseys. I'll fix the strings. That's gonna drive somebody nuts. But yeah, I this one's grown on me over the years. I really do like this jersey. The logo. The second reverse retro, of course, I got one with my name on the back for when I go play street hockey because I like it a lot. I do like using this logo too when I'm putting together boards, and I'd like to use that for the Oilers. Their regular jerseys and all the orange, it's the reason that they're down at 23rd. If their whole history was comprised of really interesting, fun jerseys like this, they'd be ranked higher. But 23rd. So we're up to 22nd, and Bolts. I've got 3 different Bolts jerseys. I've got black, I've got blue, and I got white. I was disappointed when this came out, to be honest. And still to this point, I understand that like Bolts is the nickname for the Lightning and everything, but there's so much you can do with the stadium jersey. Like for instance, the fun inside the neckline here. That's always interesting. Although it's inside the neckline when you're wearing it, nobody else ever sees it. So why put all the fun stuff where nobody's ever going to see it? So might be a good motto for life. But anyways, Tampa jerseys, like they're home and away. They're in the Toronto colors. They're designed like Detroit's. I like the logo a lot. But even their original jerseys, the home and away, they were okay. And so the okay gets them up to 22nd. Yes, they had the Storm jersey. They also did the Storm reverse retro, which was nice and fun. But they still end up 22nd on this countdown. All right, we're up to number 21, correct? Yes, now you can see all the teams that we've talked about so far. Colorado. Now, I've used the blue one in a recent video, so I thought I'd use the red one with this, with the word mark. And again, I'm not a huge fan of word marks. I don't mind the stripes, though. Stripes are kind of nice. Colorado has a fun color scheme. I'd love to see the blue used as a primary on a third jersey. I think that would look really, really sharp. Like if that blue was their main color for a jersey. And I mean, again, they have some nice ones. The reverse retro Nordiques jersey was fantastic, but for the overall average rating, they still end up at 21st, which isn't bad. It's not quite halfway, but it's still better than a number of teams in the NHL, including Utah, who I don't even have a jersey for yet. So, faint praise, right? Faint praise is a good thing, right? Anyways, Anaheim. So, what weighs Anaheim down is the period after they were the Mighty Ducks. So, when they went to this home and away, where there isn't really a logo, like there's the Web D there, but it's just it's not the same as like when you had the Mighty Ducks logo and then you go to this. It's not the same. And then their most recent jerseys they switched from the home and away, which people didn't really like. I didn't think they were that bad. That being said, I can't justify having them higher than 20th. The new home and away jerseys they just have gone to for this season, I think, are very, very nice. I really like their third jerseys in general. But again, this home and away, as well as the home and away they just changed from, it weighs them down in the overall number. One of the weirdest things about my collection is the Adidas version of this jersey. I love it. The CCM version, which is the original from over 20 years ago. St. Louis has had some interesting designs. Of course, the famous one would be the trumpet one that Keenan's like, we're not wearing that. But this one, and this is a Wayne Gretzky, because I've got a Gretzky with every team he played for, because I thought that would be fun to have. Gretzky for each team. And I've done that with Ryan Miller as well. I've got a Ryan Miller jersey for every team he played with. So, which would include St. Louis. The Blues generally have done pretty well with their jerseys. I think they're nice. I'm trying to think of like one really great jersey. They've had a Winter Classic, the cream colored Winter Classic. I really like that. The throwback to the 60s is nice. Their early 80s design wasn't bad either. But again, it puts them ahead of these teams, and I couldn't justify having them ahead of the 18 teams that occupy the top three rows. So now that we're into the top three rows, we're going to start with Detroit. This is the first original six team, right? Yeah, it's the first of the original six teams on this countdown. This is a Gordie Howe jersey. I like this jersey. You see Gordie Howe right there. I like it. I do like the logo. I understand why they changed it. You notice how it's red on red? That doesn't work, does it? I would imagine on TV, all you'd see is the white. Especially with the old black and white TVs. That's all you're going to see is just the white part of the Red Wing logo. But the Wings, I just feel like they could use something a little more fun. They've had a Winter Classic or two that have been pretty nice. They had a stadium jersey that was pretty good as well. But again, just in general, I feel like 18th is the right spot for them. And so there you go. Just below the midway mark is the Minnesota Wild. This is a stadium jersey that they had. It's Ryan Suter. The numbers on stadium jerseys are ridiculous. But, and I mean, seriously, like, you can see that from space. So, I do like the shoulder on it. I like the state of hockey on the arm, which they have on their third jersey now, of course. Yeah, I think Minnesota, I think this is a nice one. But, again, put them right around the middle. I do like the red one they had. Just in general, I felt like 17th was the right spot. And that's there kind of has to be a bit of a vibe thing where you look, you go, you know what, on average, they're pretty good. They've done a Minnesota North Stars throwback a couple of times, which is fun. And they end up in 17th. In the middle, we find the Stanley Cup champions. The Florida Panthers, 16th on the list. Their reverse retros have been fantastic. They did flirt with the idea of having the broken stick. I like the broken stick with the Panthers logo. I understand that it wasn't that popular and everything. But yeah, so obviously this is early on in Florida's time in the National Hockey League. They had a blue version of this as well. The blue jerseys have been nice in general. Again, their first reverse retro was blue. Nice jerseys. The second reverse retro was fantastic. But yeah, they end up at 16th overall. Number 15, Buffalo. So Buffalo makes the playoffs in my jersey rankings. Welcome, guys. Hey, there you go. So I really like this. This one I thought was okay. It didn't sell as well as a lot of the other reverse retros. You might actually be able to find this a couple of places. It's possible. I'm not saying that it's probable or that it's going to happen, but it's possible. At any rate, I don't mind the angry goat head. That's what we called it back in the 90s and 2000s. Buffalo, the the Buffa slug kind of weighs it down a little bit. There's been the yellow jersey that was kind of a miss. So with the teams that are up towards the top, I wanted it to be teams that pretty consistently have delivered really good jerseys. There might be an ugly one here or there. But for me with Buffalo, there were enough hits to get them into the top half. This jersey alone means Vegas has to be in the top half, right? Glow in the dark. This is the second reverse retro. I like the first reverse retro too. They got a gold jersey, which is really scratchy, so you have to wear shirts underneath that for sure. But yeah, so I do like the Vegas jerseys. I think they get it. I think they've got it from the beginning too. Their original home and aways were really nice. The gold is really nice. I hope they don't retire the charcoal one. And I'd love to see this one come back at some point. And I know there's a lot of jersey collectors that would love to see this one come back as well. Okay, so rounding out this row, Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs. This jersey that they wore back in the 80s, I was never a huge fan of it, to be honest. The logo itself, too, I was so happy when they went to the logo they have now. The design they have now, it looks so much nicer and so much more classic. They have some really nice classic jerseys that bring them up. If not for the era where this was their main logo, I think they would be probably in the top 8. But there's enough of these that it weighed them down a little bit in my mind, and so they end up 13th on the list. Number 12. And Vancouver has a ton of jerseys. So in again, trying to figure, okay, so where would I put them overall? 12th felt like it was the best spot from. This is actually an on-ice jersey. This is a really nice one. Really sharp overall. They have had some questionable decisions at times, and so I'm keeping them at 12th. They're still in the top 2 rows, but there are just 11 teams that I feel like in general have had a better jersey history than has the Vancouver Canucks. Though, I mean, the Flying V, right? You either love it or you hate it. And if you want to see it in blue and green, just go to any high school graduation. It's probably going to look like that. So you get that. Up to number 11, almost top 10 for Pittsburgh. Very, very close to top 10. This is the 80s design. It's got a 1992 Stanley Cup final patch on it because it is a Mario Lemieux. So he won that Stanley Cup right after winning the one in 91. Pittsburgh's had some really nice jerseys. And while I have almost never been rooting for the Penguins outside of when I first watched hockey, and some recent, I'll say in the last 3 years, there have been some games where I've cheered for Pittsburgh and gone, well, that felt weird. But that being said, I can't take anything away from their jersey history. I feel like 11th is the right spot. They've had some really, really nice ones. Even the last Winter Classic's not bad. They tried. So the effort seems to always be there when it comes to their jerseys. The first reverse retro wasn't a big hit, but I thought it was kind of sharp. The second reverse retro was absolutely fantastic. The Jets are a tough one. So the Jets are top 10. If I was including Jets jerseys from before the original Jets moved to Arizona, I think they'd be higher up. They have used this logo. They have used the other logo as well for, of course, their second reverse retro. This is one of their throwback jerseys as well. They're so sharp. The regular home and aways are okay. I don't think they're fantastic. I think that's why there's some who'd like to see this logo come back. They've had a couple of third jerseys that have been okay, kind of all right. So they qualify for the top 10 in my eyes. A lot of it because of the nostalgic throwbacks, but they get held back by some of the other entries they've had. I think I got this one before the channel got going, and I remember thinking, well, it's not that ugly. It's wearable. I can wear that. And so this is why Dallas isn't in the top row. They went with word marks for a while, both home and away. Looks like a university team. It doesn't work. I don't know if the Mooterist weighs them down to number 9 or brings them up to number 9. You guys can make up your mind on that. But for me, Dallas overall, and this does not include the Minnesota North Stars, much like Carolina, if I was including the previous team before they moved, Minnesota North Stars would easily push them into the top 5. Just the Dallas ones, leave them at number 9. Number 8, and I picked just their current jersey because I do think that New Jersey's got an excellent history, including this one here. As you can tell, this isn't a prime green because the logo is a little bit more pliable, which I actually prefer the arrow ready to the prime greens. But New Jersey has kept true to their look the whole way through. Very similar to Philadelphia, just they don't have a bunch of orange in their history. And despite the jersey, which I'm not a fan of the jersey, I couldn't really bust them down too much for the jersey. So number 8 to me feels like the right spot for the New Jersey Devils. Just outside the top row, it is the Calgary Flames. This Flames here, this is actually a Paul Reinhart. I got one from Cool Hockey when they were making the change, and I wanted to get a name on it, and I was like, well, we'll go with Paul Reinhart, who was one of my favorite Flames of all time, still one of my all-time favorite defensemen, and overall, pretty sharp jersey. I've always liked the logo. It's weird because I'm a Canucks fan, but here I am putting the Flames jerseys ahead of Canucks. I know, sacrilege, right? But I've always liked Flames jerseys, even the ones other people find ugly, like the pedestal ones. I don't know. They do something fun with them, and now they've just gone back to the original design. But all the fun we had along the way to get there, it's worthy of putting them almost in the top row. All right, so we're up to the top row, and Boston comes in at number 6. So another original 6 team here. And for the Boston Bruins, I picked this one here. This is a nice one. It's just a blank. I think I got this one from Van City Sports ages ago. But yeah, Boston. I think it's a nice jersey, and I love the logo. We've been over this. I'm a big Bruins fan. The jersey, the logo, definitely helped when it came to that when I was a little kid. And it was the first jersey I ever had that was gifted to me. Was a black 80s Bruins jersey. And, I mean, you had Neely and Moog and all the players I liked on Boston. It was just going to happen. But for this countdown, they're 6th. So, Rangers, if you're wondering why you haven't seen me wear this in a video, it's because it's an extra large. I basically swim in this. It was the only size that I could find. I've never been able to find it in my size without having to pay an arm and a leg. This is a 2012 Winter Classic. The New York Rangers have an awesome design, awesome logo, and it's traditional. I even don't mind the word mark on their jerseys because that's their thing going back many years. So, who am I to argue with it? The New York Rangers land in the top 5. Number 4. I'm old enough to remember when this logo was released, this jersey was released, and everybody had to have San Jose Sharks merch. And I'm saying that as somebody in British Columbia, division rival, it didn't matter. Everybody wanted San Jose stuff. It may have been it was the first new team added to the league in a while, but it's a good logo. It's a good design. The teal's fantastic. Their current home and away jerseys are amazing. They've had some misfires here and there, sure, but nothing egregious. And so, yeah, that lands them in the top 4. So, yeah, there you go. San Jose Sharks. Number 3. The Montreal Canadiens have done very little to change their look over the last, 60, 70 years? But they still have some fun jerseys I have that are from prior to the age where they used this logo. When they did the Centennial back in 2009, so many fun designs for that year, including the barber pole, which doesn't weigh them down. It just doesn't. It's a classic look that'll make your eyes bleed. So, which for whatever reason on this countdown doesn't reflect negatively. If you want to see where everybody is, there you go. But yeah, so Montreal, again, they haven't really changed their jersey very much over the years. It's kind of fantastic. Keep in mind, it says L&H on their home jerseys. So if you have a red jersey and it doesn't say L&H, either you got one that the factory got wrong or you got yourself a fake. But yeah, so the Montreal Canadiens, number 3 on the list. Number 2. All right, so number 2 is the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago, consistently very good. This, of course, is a throwback to their old, I want to say 1920s, 1930s design. This is a Chris Chelios jersey. The second reverse retro, where it just says Chicago across here, was kind of a throwback to this design. It is a lot of stripes, and I intentionally picked one that's less good looking, less attractive, I guess, if a jersey can be attractive, than their current home and aways, just to show that even on jerseys that aren't necessarily great, it's still a classic look, and so they get the runner-up spot. They're number 2 on my countdown. And number one. So it is the LA Kings. Anybody who's followed my channel long enough is not surprised the LA Kings are number one. This, of course, being the original look they had. They really haven't had a miss. Like their jerseys, they just switched away from kind of bland a little bit until they spiced up the silver. They made it a little sparklier when they got over to prime green. I thought it looked a lot nicer. But yeah, the LA Kings have had some. They've done so many different designs that even when I think of some of the misses they've had so many really, really nice ones. And of course, the Shield is my favorite. So yeah, they had to be number one. It had to be LA. So number two on the board is Chicago. Number one on the board for me is the LA Kings. Is it scientific? No. Is it kind of a vibe thing? Sure. But I went over this a few times and I'm like, yeah, no. In general, that's how I feel about the teams and their jerseys. Again, Seattle could be a lot higher the next time out if they get some really fun third jerseys or theme jerseys. I think Seattle's got a really bright future from a jersey perspective. And Utah, of course, 32nd because there's nothing yet, and it's just a placeholder at this point. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support, as always. I will talk to you again soon.